Junior Ultimate Championship is coming to its glorious end. We have moved back to the stadium where we originally started this grand tournament with an opening game, and we're back for the finals. For some teams, this tournament it's over, but it's not the case for France and Canada in the women's division, who will take the floor first here at the Stadium de las Gaunas. My name is Rachel Toshnerova, and it's going to be a family affair today in the commentary booth with my partner in crime, John Doc Doherty.
Hi everyone, yeah, fantastic game. Looking forward to this one. I think the women's division has been the best division this week. It's been the one where you might be interested in the other divisions, but you're always checking the updates in this women's division.
Agreed. We will have a look at the way that these teams took to this tournament. Right now you'll see the bracket on your screens. Canada advancing over Italy on a universe point win. Italy beating US, Canada beating Great Britain to come to the quarters.
Yeah, some fantastic games here. I remember for the quarterfinals you were thinking there's potentially 6 different teams that if things go the right way they could get a win, and you know it's pretty crazy to think that the USA came 4th in their pool, and that just tells you about how competitive this tournament was.
We're going to have a look at some of the star players coming into this game. For Team Canada, it has surely been number 9, Eva Menzies. 9 games played, 7 goals, an impressive 14 assists. She's been carrying the Canadian offense through the good and the bad. Her lefty shots, incredibly useful. Been some windy games this week as well.
And yeah, and one other thing that maybe goes a bit underrated is just how good she is on defense for this team. She might be the one charged with taking over some of the tougher French matchups later in the game if this game gets close, but she's been an absolute beast, and yesterday in the semi-final it was insane.
On the French side we have Gaëtan Lepezanet, 19 goals, 22 assists. She barely went off the pitch in the semis.
Yeah, you could see here in these, anytime there's a bit of desire or need of the French team to get something done, she's basically playing all the points. I got to commentate on her last year playing the European final. They ended up coming up short on universe point in that game, but she put the team on her back, and she's probably going to want to do the same again in this game here.
Crozat here is throwing the assist to her. She will be a looked for connection with Lepezanek in this game. The teams gathering around for a round of high fives before the start of the game. Canada choosing the red jerseys, the red kit for this upcoming final. France in blue. Stands are filling up slowly but surely. Here are the prices for the victors of this junior elite tournament.
Yeah, and just to stress how close these teams are together and why this is maybe my most anticipated final of the day. They've both conceded 52 goals. They've both scored in the 90s. They're both 7-1. Canada have a habit of maybe pulling away a little bit at the starting, letting teams back into it a little bit late. The French have a habit of doing the opposite. So everything suggests that this game could go right down to the wire. And maybe in the ideal world, Canada are up by 1. Maybe there's 2 points left to play, and that's maybe my prediction if I was to go out based on the form of the rest of this tournament.
If I can base this game on any experience that I've had throughout this week, we've seen Canada choke on the stream earlier this week, but it's really been a glitch in the matrix, I have to say, because they've been immaculate for the rest of the games.
Yeah, and I think yesterday I went through 3 of their games each, and I tried to find what I thought was their worst game. And for the Canadians, I felt, yes, it was that game against Japan, but also for a lot of these players, it's their first time playing Japan. And as I've said a couple of times this week, at a junior division, you never forget your first time playing the North Americans, and you never forget your first time playing Japan. So I think that was just a game where they just struggled to get it going. The French, on the other hand, weirdly, their worst game was actually a win, in my opinion, against the Czechs. They were 11-7 down and they came back to win it, but I think if they play like they did in the early half of that game and the Canadians play like they played early against Italy, this could be a bit of a tough start for the French.
And here comes the first poll. Canada will start this first point of the women's division final on defense. And the team in blue, with half the field in the shade, half in the sun, will have to adapt to these new conditions of this Las Gaunas stadium. Le Pezinec takes the inside channel. Lebertra with the sideways pass and an early turnover for the French. Menzie wastes no time, goes around to the far sideline. Moffat resets. And the call will, travel call potentially, will return the disc back to Moffat.
Yeah, and that early turn there, that's something I've noticed with the French teams. They aren't really turning under pressure. They usually just mess up the throws.
They go sideways to Young. And swinging to Wang. Menzie aiming for the end zone. She's got a target. And the Canadians open up with a break to Zoe Young for the score.
Yeah, perfect start for the Canadians there. The French just making one of the typical kind of mistakes I've seen in a lot of their other games, and the Canadians just taking advantage of it here. Something you can find, it can be a little bit difficult to get used to people when they're lefty. You can see there she's initially holding it in her right hand, and it's just one of those things. Sometimes you forget someone's a lefty and it just opens a different array of throws they can have there. And I think maybe the force might think if they step across for the backhand I have it, but then she switches to the left hand and it's a quick flick, and again the receiver runs it down, but a great throw.
And a big-handed grab for Young to open up the early morning final for Canada with a break. French fans incredibly ready to go in the stands.
Yeah, I think we're maybe lucky here also. We might have the two best sets of fans. I know the Americans have been pretty loud, but the Canadians have been really following around to all their teams, and obviously for the French it's not actually that far to travel to get here compared to some of the other teams.
One more chance for the French. The Canadians sticking with match D. On the near sideline is Caron. And that's a big put into the end zone. Can the defense get there? Denied by Maillard. Harvey for Team Canada.
Yeah, and we see Le Pezinec there. Maybe one of the few players on this French team who's actually going to take these deep shots. I haven't really seen them look to threaten too many teams deep, and I think they've maybe been a little bit fortunate in some of their games so far that they haven't come up against big athletic teams like this, and I think the deep game for the French here is going to find it very difficult against this, in my opinion, slightly bigger and faster Canadian team.
They move the other way. Harvey in the middle, goes sideways to Gibbon. Oh, and a wobble on the disc. Saves possession for the French. They will get a second chance in the second point of the game. Maillard goes to her sister. Now there's the quick movement through the break side. Stopped by Canada. Wang trying to get in the lane there. Good switch by Canada. Delpech sideways to Crozat, who steps around. Is there a continuation in the end zone? That is some good end zone defense by Canada, forcing lots of passes from the blue shirts. Caron will find an open Crozat into the end zone for the score. France finally reel it in. in the hands of Lucie Caron.
Yeah, good response by the French there. And I think just on the Canadian turn, I think the French turn in the first point summarised what I've seen from the turnovers from the French. It tended to be a lot of thrower errors. And the Canadian one here, maybe just trying to rush things a little bit, trying to force a slightly more difficult throw than they need. And I think one piece of advice I might have given to either of these teams before the game, if I was their coach and I had seen all their games, would be just take that extra half a second. Very rarely are these teams turning on high stalls. It's usually a case of maybe they feel like, okay, we've got to push the pace here. We've got to hit these openings. We're up against another good team. We're not going to have like massive wide open shots. And I think whichever team can almost slow down and say, hey, look, we're a really good team. While the pressure might feel like it's on us, we're not really getting to that many high stalls. So we can slow down a little bit. Just take that extra second, because both these teams, I've watched 3 of their games each, and you get 5 or 6 turnovers where you're just kind of thinking there's no excuse for these.
No surprise to see Le Pezenek crossing over to the D-line. She's just ready to go all game long. Well, with the World Championship title at stake, it is no surprise that everything is kicking in. Canada sort of making space in that hot side. Under pressure, they get the catch. Eklund to the center. Little quick and go to Manzi. Manzi with the continuation in front of the end zone. One-on-one separation. That is defended and denied by Delpech. The daughter of the French coach getting involved for what might be a very, very important block for the French D-line. Can they capitalize on this break opportunity? Dole with a missed high release lefty. Manzi strikes up line to get the Canadians moving once again. Breton gets the disc once again in the middle. Big wind up, lefty put once again out of reach for the Canadians. Second break chance in this point for the French.
Yeah, and you can see both these turns here again, kind of what I'm talking about. The French just kind of overthrowing a player. Maybe the high release was a bit difficult, and here just, again, I think the throw was on, but you know, it's not a super easy one, and I think you can just take a little bit longer. It was early in the stall, and you just overthrow your player in front of the end zone.
Maya waiting for something to open up for her, and that choice of a reset throw will be a painful reminder that you just have to move against this tight Canadian match D. In the meantime, they manage, no surprise, to score. It is Ingo Dewey with the assist. And all they needed was one quick dish.
Yeah, the French D-line there just almost had no options coming out of that turnover in the corner. It's one place you don't really want to be picking up the disc, is the front corner of your own end zone on a D-line. And the Canadians just did a good job of shutting it down here.
Eklund with the first score. There's the turnover with the first score of the game. Coming out of Vancouver, this 18-year-old has been playing for 5 years already. Plays for UBC. It's her first time playing on Team Canada.
Yeah, and obviously, again, some of these turns here, it is a final. You have to remember that. There is a crowd. Both these teams feeling the pressure a bit. You can expect some turns early. It's been consistent in a lot of their games. I have seen the turns, but both these teams have sometimes where they just go on a run where you're just wondering what's going on. And it's on the coaches. It is a junior event. It's completely understandable that we're going to have some of these turns, and that's where the coaches, I think, are going to have a big impact in this game, when they need to realize that their team is just not performing anywhere near what they're capable of.
And as the fans cheering echoes throughout the stadium, the French are underway once more, with the first half of the field behind them. La Rivière, another massive player for the French O-line. She was absolutely dominant in the semis. Gets the disc, and there's a stoppage on a pick call. Game advisors barely getting involved in this one. The players just needing to reposition. Through the break side to Lebertra. Le Pezanek will call a foul on that one. Immediately accepted. I think Ing just tripped when she was trying to catch up with her. Nothing purposeful there about that. Le Pezanek trying to make sure that her team moves towards the end zone. She wants to play that kind of aggressive game. We've seen some really big throws into the end zone from her, leading passes. She's going to dry off the disc too. Might be some morning dew or the sprinklers here at the stadium. Good coverage from the Canadians to take away the first option. Le Pezanek gets the disc once more, almost in the same spot as last time. Lebertra now finds Crozat. Forced to reset once again is Team France. Now they find the opening. And Le Pezanek hides in the bushes at the front of the end zone and makes sure that there's no need for a follow-up pass. We're tied at 2.
Yeah, some good intense pressure there by the Canadians. There was a couple of times where the French players were required to make some tough catches under pressure, but the French have settled in a little bit now. I thought maybe there was 1 or 2 times where the Canadians looked like they had the bid, but the French slow the game down when they need to. Canadians clearly a bit more concerned about getting beaten up line, and then this around comes off and they can swing, get the break, and once you get the defense chasing to the break side, it creates that open side space where the handler just pivots back in. And
it's hugs all around. You can see the intense focus on the women's faces. Here's the French coaching staff. Besides the already mentioned dad coach, Christophe Delpech, we have Rémy Dupont and Kelsey Rader. An all-male staff for the French women's team. Whereas I think we have an all-female staff on the Canadian side, but more on that later. A side stecky, split stecky look maybe from Team Canada. Menzi faced with a French zone for the first time for a change of pace. She goes for the leading pass. The defense gets there first. Tremendous block by La Rivière, getting her body on the line. And a chance for France to break. They do it in a striking fashion. A wide open receiver, Poisson, for the goal and break for France.
yeah, they picked the right option there coming out with the zone. I'll be honest, from the games I've watched of them so far, I was waiting to see if they would even do the zone, and I was almost getting ready to criticize it, because in every game I've seen so far, I've just been wondering why they're doing the zone, but it works here. And perhaps a bit of the reason why maybe they're doing the zone in some of these games is they do seem to have some players playing on both lines, and perhaps sometimes you just need to do a zone to actually give some of your stronger players a bit of a chance to still play an effective defense, but just not the same level of intensity. And you can see here Le Pezanek, I think she's going out for her 3rd point in a row here, and again it might be a theme of they just have to take a rest point. As you see, a huge block there, and that's something I haven't seen from the French either. I haven't seen too many like layout Ds. It's usually a case of pressure and the other team's throwing it away, but taking flight there, nice little clip for her to look back on later.
Just a quick note on the last scorer, Zoe Poisson will be featured later this year in August at the WCC. She's participating with the local Bordeaux team. So you can catch more action of her on the Ultiworld coverage of WCC in Limerick in August. So we're back on serve with 1 break each. Manzi gets going. Canada going for the small ball after that errant throw over the French zone in the previous point. High grab, but brought down expertly by Ingo Dewey, who's got the disc again. Going every other pass with Menzi, but this French zone just startling the Canadians. Immediate response, Lepezanek underneath. 3 Canadian defenders underneath it. Can they recover from this huge pass? Lepezanek will certainly look for a continuation in the end zone. No, she takes a breath and the reset to Larivière. Low grab, possession kept for the French. You were right, John, to say it's a shorter roster for French for this final. Crozat, Lepezanek, Maillat, all these players taking the O-line as well as the D-line. Lepezanek, big backhand leading pass into the end zone. Canada last second says no, but it looks like a grab was made at the same time. No turnover, no call. Larivière takes that back. Good spirit and great heads-up D from Breton. From Breton. That's going to happen a lot on the stream. Pardon my French from the start. A travel call will return the disc to Kathy Huang. She doesn't have too many stats on to her name, but I've really liked the way she's been doing on the field. This is a beautiful gainer for Canada. They've got options open. They choose to do it patiently. Mutter gives it back to Menzi. Menzi finds her target in the end zone. And that's a dirty hold for Canada with Ingo Dewey getting the first goal to her name.
Yeah, another missed opportunity by the French there. They had the disc right in front of the end zone. They take the aggressive shot across the field. Again, I do think a small bit of it is they just haven't faced a team as athletic as the Canadians so far. And these grabs, you can see it's like, you know, if the offense gets there a little bit sooner, it's a goal, but that little bit of extra athletic ability and speed by the Canadians ends up being the reason that ends up being a turnover, and they go the other way and they score.
Ingo Dewey, the 18-year-old, has been playing since she was 10. She started playing because of her father. She already played on Team Canada 2024, so 2 years ago. And her career highlight is winning 3 nationals in 1 year. Her sporting hero, not surprised to see her mentioned, Mika Kurahashi.
This one here, the last point before we go into our heat breaks. Remember, we'll be taking them at first team to 4. Then there's halftime. Then there's another one when the first team reaches 10. Games to 15, I believe. We've had the games to 13 all week, so slightly longer games this finals day. A couple extra points to be scored.
I wonder if that will play a role with this Canadian team using the smaller part of the entire wide roster. Lebertra finds Caron. Obviously having the upper hand in the first half, not having to push it too much at all times with using just your star players definitely helps. French now losing yards. Lepezanek into the middle to Bouvin. Now Caron has it on the far sideline. Lepezanek is thinking about the big options into the end zone. But the Canadians adjust to push them under. Lepezanek going every second disc here. Lefty putt just on the end zone line. There is a continuation, and that's a hold for France. Bouvet, with her safe hands, making the French crowd happy.
Yeah, and as you said earlier there, Lepezanek almost every second pass there. And one thing about it, with the games being divided, because we're going to have a heat break now in a moment, you get your heat breaks, you get your timeouts. It really gives you a chance to put on a player like that for so much more of a game than you normally would.
And we're still in the first half. Canada leads, France leads over Canada 4-3.
The club season is upon us, and Ultiworld is bringing you all the action. Ultiworld is the best place for live video, news, highlights, and analysis of your favorite teams and players. Make sure to subscribe for our extensive live coverage of the USAU club season, including the thrilling club championships in San Diego in October, exclusively on Ultiworld.
Boston has its glory.
Jeff Babbitt with the size, the speed, the read.
Did he throw it the full 80 yards of the field?
You cannot kill this Minnesota team.
Are you believing what you're seeing? My hands are on my head up here in the booth.
Was there any doubt? Was there any doubt?
Holy smoke!
We're back from the heat break in this women's final. We're going straight into the huge upset that Canada caused earlier this week in a pool play against Team US. Here is the winning goal. They took down the United States 12-10. They weren't the only team, though, to beat Team US at this tournament.
Yeah, and that was the game that basically shocked the tournament, because suddenly USA are the fourth seeds in their pool, and you're looking at the team who topped the other group and you're wondering what must be going through your head if you're the Italians in that situation. But credit to the Italians, they did come out and then they took care of the USA in the next game. So maybe just the division getting a bit more competitive, maybe the Americans not on the same level as maybe previous teams.
And after a bit of break Macarena in the stands, the Canadian coaches were giving last-minute advice. Ella Seaborn, Laura Story, Vic Lam on the Canadian side, wearing the white shirts. France leading over Canada 4-3. We're back on serve, one break each. Canadians looking to equalize. Ingo Dewey with Manzi and Bell in the handler set. They go through the break side for Daphne Bell. Got Tessa and Daphne. Oh, Manzi reads that expertly and hides the disc behind her back.
Yeah, really fun matchup there. But in my opinion, the two best players on either of these teams matching up against each other. And I do think the French rely a bit more on Le Pezenek. So it's an interesting one to put her out there, given she's going to be playing almost every point, to put her on the other team's, in my opinion, best player, who's probably going to run her the most. I might almost try and give her slightly easier matchups so that she can get through the entire game, and maybe near the end of the game when she really has to dig in is to then go for it on these tough matchups.
Oh, and this time Le Pezenek is going to get there first. That was an errant throw out of Team Canada. And the G-Ace will get involved once more.
Yeah, she's shown there that maybe that's why they put her on her straight away. Maybe in the handler space, she just thinks it's not that tiring if they're going to throw me the disc like that.
We grabbed it together, like at the same time.
Okay, and you believe you had possession of the disc?
Pour moi, j'ai dit avant elle, je passe la main avant et elle pense qu'on l'attrape en même temps. No, she wants to speak English. Okay, so okay, so she thinks that like our blue goes first and then you catch it. Yeah, but I think like, parce que j'ai la I have the position. Mais je pense qu'on était pas. I think
that's fine, yeah.
Yeah, okay. Pour moi vraiment en fait, pour moi je vois dit je passe la main. Et juste après, en fait, tu viens et je l'ai déjà catché.
You don't need to pardon your French now if you know the translations here.
So you think you catched it in the same time? So, il y a un avis?
Okay, we've been having this conversation for a little while. Okay, this discussion has been for a while. We need a resolution, or we can just contest it and send it back, and that is fine as well. Okay, thank you. So it's going to be contested. So it's a foul contested. Foul contested.
Did not expect anything else there, John. The GAs for this game, Georgia Suddy and Dimi Doroshenko, making sure that the discussions run smooth. And a Hail Mary into the end zone for the Canadians. Lots of players underneath it. Nobody can quite read it. Is there going to be another round of calls? One player is down on the ground, potentially landing awkwardly. Or somebody kicking her leg in the process of all the players getting up.
Yeah, I didn't think the stall was that high when this went up, but I guess it was, because it seemed like a very interesting shot to just shoot it straight away.
I think she got kicked by another player in her quad. She got a knee kick in the quad, so hopefully nothing serious, just a painful hit. Aslan will take a sub for now from this women's final. Crowd's giving her a round of applause as she walks off with the staff of Team Canada.
Now they have to discuss if there was a call.
Ray coming in as her replacement. And Mutter in discussion with La Rivière.
Yeah, it's one thing as well, a very small thing, and obviously it's not intentional, but these extended stoppages, I feel like they're only going to favour the French, as I think when it really comes to it, they do seem to go a bit tighter with their line, and they've had some of their players out there a lot already, and every second you're out there here now is just more rest time, and maybe if I'm the Canadians, I might be trying to get these calls resolved a little bit quicker.
One more look at the French fans. Maybe also a quick reminder that the game advisors present at the showcase games do not have any deciding authority over the calls. They're simply there to provide clarifications on the rules, facilitate the discussion, and potentially provide their perspective if asked.
And to speed up these calls when it doesn't seem like anything's going to change.
That's right, to make sure the time limits are followed. So Canada will keep possession. The disc is sent back one more time, but must be exchanged.
I feel they've been a little bit fortunate here now. Two not questionable calls, but two very lucky opportunities to get the disc back, and they're not going to get it third time lucky. This time the French get it, and you feel maybe based on the last two plays they did deserve a turn. So I'm going to say, not that the disc doesn't lie, but that I think the right team is getting a chance with the disc here now after the last couple of moments.
Obviously, the neutrality of the commentary team cannot be questioned. We're Irish check up here in the booth. Lepezinek with a laser into the end zone. Defense is underneath it. And Engo Dewey. One more block for her to add to the stats. She saves the Canadians last second, denying the break chance for France. Menzi. Eklund. Quick give and go for Menzi. She needs to get low. Fantastic grab. Can see her wiping off her hands constantly. You don't want to get an accidental slip in a final of the World Championship. She's gonna get the disc again. Lepezinek containing her. Big wind up into the end zone. Defense underneath it. But eyes are locked on the prize from Daphne Bell. She gets the score to equalize at 4s.
Fantastic throw there on the assist. I actually thought when she was throwing it, I thought that she was maybe throwing it too up into the air when she threw it almost over Lepezinek. Actually initially thought maybe throwing it to the back corner might have been the better option, but she obviously saw the poach peeling off the back here, and had she thrown it low into the corner, I think the defender actually, you can see here the white hat, would have maybe got it. So basically threw it to the one place where the defenders had no chance, and such a difficult throw. If she was intending to put it there, it was perfect.
And that is Daphne Bell's moment. So shout out to her grandparents and friends, and also her teammates on Dyno. She is coming out of Vancouver, 17-year-old, has been playing for 8 years. Started with Elevate Ultimate because that's where her dad played. Look at her having the greatest time on the sideline. So no surprises so far in this game. One break each remains the number for the first half so far. No surprising defensive looks from the Canadians either. That is a big shot, big backhand, it's floating. Defense unable to orientate themselves in the air, and just on the end zone line, Lance Crozan making it too easy for this French offense. Now stuck on the options a little bit. Maillard will find Crozat one more time. Oh, and is such an unfortunate misthrow for the French. Canada go the other way. Capitalizing on that errant throw. That's a big break chance for Canada. Harvey doesn't take the reset. Gets Moffat into the end zone for the score. Canada break. Ray with her first goal of this women's final.
Yeah, and that's the second time this game now where the French have basically, in my opinion, had the wide open pass into the end zone that they could have just ended the point. They turn over and the Canadians go the length of the field and score in the other end zone. First time of asking, and that's a huge swing. That's basically the difference in the score right now is essentially those 2 points. And like I said at the start of the game, I think it's just the team who just slows down a little bit more, who just doesn't rush it. They're both great teams. We've only had 1 or 2 high stalls so far, and I think whichever team just slows down and get a little bit more focus is just going to convert a couple more points. And everything about these teams is so evenly matched the whole way through the tournament. It just feels like it's on the coaches to almost decide this game.
Props to Canada recovering their defensive efforts after that well put deep shot from the French. Could have been a 2-pass offense for France, but here they are once more. Garon centering. Maillard on this near sideline fakes the big backhand. Not too many deep shots. It hasn't been the case in other games of these two teams either. La Rivière got very low for that disc, keeping possession. Crozat back on the field and Lepezanek in front of the end zone in the far corner. Resets. Maillard for Lepezanek, but that one is low once more. I think you were exactly right, John, in saying that if she had taken half a second there, that could have been a score for Team France. But I mean, we have to remember, it is the last day of the championship. It's been a full week, if not more, of these games. And Canada, luckily for France, give the disc right back off of the first pass. Boisson. Through the break side, there seems to be an injury call. It looks like Baudin Tran will take a sub.
Yeah, and it's one thing from the juniors division. I remember just over 10 years ago when I was coaching at it. It was just everybody had to learn how to hook it. And then the game has developed so much. These players are playing so long now that the deep game almost is less of a factor, and it's more about just working the unders and grinding it. But
Crozat with the shoulder fake. France still on offense. Lepezanek is gonna go for her upline. Perfect switch from the Canadians, disrupting the thrower on the mark just enough to force that throwaway. And they'll be looking to run with this. Huang. Into Moffat on the near sideline. Moffat with the bladey look into the end zone. Oh, that was a great read, but a bit of less concentration on the catch. And the stand's not happy about this call.
I mean, the only thing I can think is that maybe she read it and she felt she couldn't keep going with this little hand in the back. I mean, if that player wasn't there, you could argue she would get it, but there is her own teammate as well who drops it. And I can understand why you'd make the call. I don't know if I don't not agree with it, and I don't agree with it. I think I can see why a player would feel they are running in the direction of where the disc was going. They do feel a little hand in their back.
Let's listen up what the players have to say. So there's going to be a discussion, including translators.
Fair play. Ah, d'accord, je parle français. Je pense que vraiment elle ne l'a pas et toi t'essaies de la voir. Et celle qui me tombe dessus. Moi, ouais, elle. Mais elle est sur la
Once again, we're talking about this for about a minute. We will say that it should be contested.
Ah, non, non, s'il vous plaît. It's too long, je pense.
It's too late. It's already too late to do this. Can we contest that?
So I realize many people at home there might say, you know, maybe that should be a turn. They should have caught it anyway. And I'm going to ask the question, as a French defender, why do you even put your hand on the player there? You know, you're giving them the opportunity to make the call. If you keep your hand down, she backs into you, it's a foul. But, you know, just don't put your hands on other players' backs. Again, some people would say soft call. I can see the reason for the call, and I could see the reason for saying you shouldn't call it.
Oh, and almost, I don't think Lepezanek got a hand on that, but it's just enough for Huang to lose concentration on that catch. The disc is back with the French. Dole finding Maillard. A pick call will stop the play. This point did start off as an offensive point for the French. But Canada making them work hard for it. Lepezanek has got players striking up line. Doesn't like the options. Wants the reset for Maillard, that's covered. She puts a floaty one up. Heroic save by Dole.
I think we're getting a stall out call here potentially. Canadian defense doing a good job there on the dump. They realize when Lepezanek starts to look back that she really does want to look at the dump because she likes to shoot. So I always know that when you get someone who wants to be aggressive with their throws and they start looking dump.
So can I clarify, you're calling a stall out because you believe she threw it after the T of 10? Okay.
No, Ellie.
We would prefer in English for the media.
For her, she showed it at 9 and at 10 is in the air. Okay. Like when you said 10, it's already in the air.
Yeah, I feel like when I said the T of 10, you still had it in your hand and you were going like this and you hadn't released it yet. Okay.
Probably a classic case of the 10 was maybe a little fast, you never know. But
okay, sure. So it's a stall out contested. So it's going to come in and you're going to say stalling 8, okay? So it's a stall out contested, that was a completion.
That's for our coverage here is for you to go back, do the counting yourselves. I'm sure even then we would get some French and Canadian fans to disagree. So Lepezanek being asked to do something one more time. Mayotte this time gets open on the reset. And the continuation for the goal will be sent back on a pick call. No happiness for the Rooster fans. It's a Rooster-Beaver matchup here, John. Did you know that? Dole.
I do now.
Scott Mayotte striking up line. And it's looking like a accepted foul call.
Yeah, just a couple of calls creeping in. I don't think there's anything I would say is unspirited or anything like that, but a tight game.
Lepezanek with her signature two-hand grab, 2 hands outstretched in front of her. You will see in this game that she likes to run down her discs like that. And she adds another goal to her name. Tied at 5 is France and Canada.
Yeah, it's been a good one so far, as we expected. Both teams going back and forth here as we see. This one came back. This one did not come back. This one counts. I don't usually turn around beast of a player, but I feel from what I've seen her last year and seen her at this tournament this year, she's, got to argue, she might be the best player in this tournament.
Couple of great female players, both in the women's and mixed division. The scouting opportunities at this tournament quite voluminous, I would say. And we're gonna have a short break from the match as the players gather around for a spirit timeout to make sure to clear up some of the differences that they might have had in the views of the calls. There's been, I wouldn't say many of them, but probably more than enough to have this kind of short discussion in order to keep the rest of the game clean and nice. And we're just gonna listen in real quick.
Yeah, I think it's just one of those things where the game hasn't been bad, but because it's a World's final, you'd rather address these small issues now early in the game rather than have them maybe be more decisive factors later in the game. So I don't think this is a case of teams disliking each other so much. They just want to have a quick little chat, figure a couple of things out, and come out and finish this game without any problems.
For now, France and Canada 10-5. See you after the spirit timeout. women's final. France and Canada currently tied at 5. There's been a Spirit timeout call, and we're going to have a chance to listen in on the discussions between the GAs and Spirit, as well as normal captains for both teams.
Aussi, je le en français, il y a des moments où on regarde la vidéo et en fait on voit vraiment, par exemple là-bas, que les deux fois le disque est totalement au-dessus. Et que même s'il y a un contact, ça lobe totalement. Et autre chose, quand on veut faire des cuts up the line, je ferai un exemple avec toi, vous nous attrapez comme ça, vous faites par des fois, en fait, vu que vous êtes trop dans le contact, on se prend des croche-pieds, on se prend des coups de pied dans les pieds, etc. C'est ça le dernier parole. Ouais, par exemple, c'est ça, c'est que vraiment, en fait, la meuf, elle me shoot dans le pied quand j'avance. C'est juste pour...
The only thing is that on the sideline, we've noticed a lot of people joining in, and also like we talk in a circle, you can't give perspective unless it's against your team. And we saw, I'm not sure if you told your team that, but there's a lot of people on the field who were wanting to give their perspective. And remember, it's like only if it's against your team. We told our team that, so it's the same. Sure.
Yeah, just adding on to that, I think there was like a time. Let's talk slowly. I think just on the field when there is a call, I understand like maybe you're not listening and stuff, which I agree with. But I think take the time, like if you don't have perspective, if you're not involved in the call, like don't put your hand up and be like, oh turnover. I saw some players doing that. Please don't do that. We still want to have a talk, right? But yeah.
Okay. Yeah. And I think one more thing was just that some of the calls in that point, there happen to be a lot of calls, but I think a lot of the picks, it's just because of the way you guys are running your stack, it just caused a lot of picks. So I think the foul, I agree with the body contact, but I think the picks that we called were just, they have been happening, and it's not, maybe it's just watching your foot placement or whatever, but I think that's one thing is like, yes, body contact is good, but that just happens to unfortunately a lot of picks. I don't know.
Yeah. We can definitely talk to our team.
Yeah, but I agree, I think it was a good call, calling was good, needed.
Yeah. Go and share with the whole team.
sorry.
Do you want to? Can we just quickly before you hop in?
Just do it now, or I'll just think for a second.
So the discussions seem to be over in the Spirit circle, in the Spirit timeout. What did you gather, John, from the discussions that you've heard?
Yeah, I think there's been a couple of calls, and I think some people are saying there's a sideline doesn't need to start putting their hand up to give their opinion straight away. And you know, whenever you see 10 players from one team putting up their hand or whatever, it's usually not to say we agree with the other team. It's actually one of my pet peeves personally. I kind of have a rule on some of my teams where only put your hand up if you want to side with the other team, because we know you already agree with your own team most of the time anyway. So it's one of those things in Ultimate. It's supposed to be a self-refereed sport, but when you watch who puts up their hands, that's when you really see who the people want to side with. But a bit of contact as well. Again, I think in general the game has been pretty good. It's a World's final. You don't want to wait till near the end of the game to have this little conversation. The clock stops, you know.
Yeah. The team's generally happy with having the Spirit timeout. It's not necessarily a bad thing. We've pointed this out earlier that it is good to clean it up straight away. We've had some French discussion as well. One Irish and one Czech up here in the commentary booth. So that's where our language skills end. But we hope that the French-speaking fandom enjoyed having a little insight in the communication between the teams. One more shout out maybe to the GAs on this game. The head GA for this tournament is Georgia Suddy. She's been amazing in facilitating the discussions, which, given its junior level, have definitely not been that emotional, at least on the games that I had a chance to commentate on. And of course, Dimi Doroshenko as her male counterpart. So stick around for more coverage of Ultiworld action. France and Canada now tied at 5.
The club season is upon us, and Ultiworld is bringing you all the action. Ultiworld is the best place for live video, news, highlights, and analysis of your favorite teams and players. Make sure to subscribe for our extensive live coverage of the USAU club season, including the thrilling club championships in San Diego in October, exclusively on Ultiworld.
Welcome back to the Ultiworld coverage of the World Junior Ultimate Championship. It is finals day, and we're well into the first half of France versus Canada. It's been an interesting first part of the game. There's been 2 breaks for France, so far. 1 break for Canada, and a spirit timeout that we've just come out of, where, for those of you who are only tuning in now, there's been nothing particularly bad happening. It's just been a matter of the players wanting to make sure that they finish off this game or use the rest of this game a bit better in terms of communicating and calling different infractions. We've had a chance to listen in on the discussions of the game advisors together with the captains and spirit captains. Both teams quite happy with having the spirit timeout and talking through the issues that the players might have had during the first part of the game. So we will see how, under this immense pressure of a fight for the world title, the players will manage to keep their cool and provide a good viewing experience for those in the stands as well as you watching from home. Lepezanek, has she even left the field yet? There she is with a pull for Canada. Her nemesis on the Canadian side, Menzie, in the handler space. Tessa Bell. Good switch on the handlers from the French. Breton. She's also been doing quite a chunk of work for the Canadians. Menzie, the lefty handler, with a big gainer to Hammerling. Lots of sagging on the handlers now from the French, looking for that heads-up D in the open lane. Oh, that was a good no-look, almost defense from Lepezanek, but somebody will finish off the job for her. It is Ella Maillard for Team France with a block D. She's gonna pass it to her sister and strike deep, but Menzie denying that. Lepezanek gets the disc in the center for France. Pick call. Poisson returns the disc.
French crowd starting to get a bit loud here. They're starting to sense the energy is building here. The pressure is building. Almost a block by the French and then a massive layout.
Lepezanek. She's got people in the end zone, but takes the under to La Rivière. Poisson now examining her options. Takes the around high grab for Maillard. Who's gonna go for the hammer into the end zone for the score! Chevion Guillaume with her first score and a break for the French team.
What a way to do it. Fantastic throw. I thought from our view high up here that maybe it was overthrown, but it sat perfectly for the receiver to catch it. And big point for France there.
We're going to have another look at the block Lepezanek almost getting a hand on it, but it was Poisson. Sorry, Ella Mayat, who finally got the D. And look at that grab from Chevion Guillaume, 17-year-old. And it wouldn't be a French final if we didn't mention her sporting hero, Elliot Bonnet, the French ultimate icon. There she is walking off to get some refreshments.
That's a real big point as well there, because you've just come out from a Spirit timeout, which is essentially, it feels sometimes it's almost like completely resetting your team, and you're like, okay, 0-0 game to 10 because it was 5-all. And the first thing that happens is the French come out and get a break. So what's that going to do for the confidence of the Canadians, who most of the games they've been winning is games they've been ahead of, but these teams right now trading back and forth.
Still lots of time to go. Still about 50 minutes left on the clock. It's a long way to Tipperary, and it is a long way to the World Championship final. Manzi goes to Wang. Breton finding Manzi. Canadians really relying on the cuts from the front of their stack, but a foul will be called by Wang on that throw.
Okay.
Yeah.
You're sure? Because I only feel the disc, but...
Yeah. Can I show you?
Yeah, I
can.
can.
I went like this and you touch my hand here.
Okay.
Yeah, it's that.
And did you release the disc or no?
I didn't
Maybe
release
you
it,
released it.
I don't think I released it yet because I felt it here where I'm holding it.
Okay.
Okay, thank you for your Spirit. So foul accepted. It's going to come in on stalling 1.
A very quick discussion and an accepted foul call on the mark by Maya. Manzi trying to find the open player. Lots of poaches downfield from the French, and it bears its fruit as Delpech gets another block in this game. They immediately move the other way. Lepezanek knocking on the doorstep. One quick dish into the end zone for the score. La Rivière continues on the break train for France.
Second consecutive break for the French there after this Spirit timeout, and they're really doing a great job here of just limiting the options downfield of the Canadians. I do think the Canadians downfield are actually faster, but the French are just playing a lot smarter here and forcing the Canadians into some questionable options on their dumps, where they're trying to hit far crossfield shots rather than just clearing the space and using their speed.
We have had the French coaches on the mic before, and they were mentioning how flexible their team is. Let's see the block one more time. They are constantly trying to adjust to what their opponent is doing, and they did so in this last point with their defensive strategy. I think really taking away the undercuts, poaching both the open and break side, forcing the cutters to run through them, and then staying tight on them as they did.
Yeah, and it's one of these things with the French team. They will have been together a lot longer. It's a smaller country. The clubs are closer together.
We see the celebration, including Fan Deux, who was, I think, injured quite at the start of the tournament. She's been helping me with the pronunciation of her teammates' names. So she's not playing, but she's out there with her team supporting as much as she can. So it looks like a timeout, no surprise. Teams are huddling up. Canada needing to reconsider what they do with this next part. We're nearing half. Canada will try to stay in this first one as much as they can.
Yeah, it's a big point coming up here. You've just been broken twice. I would imagine it was the Canadians who took the timeout. I don't think there's much of a reason to do it as the French, because if the Canadians score, you still have to put out your O-line anyway. So I don't think this is a time to put out a power line. Although perhaps for the French, they might think maybe we go power line And then if we actually need it, we could take another timeout. So maybe the French might decide this could be one where we could almost try and somewhat end the game here, as we see the momentum of the game just being a couple of breaks each. This is the first time where we've had 2 breaks in a row, and it's the first time where I think it's the first time where we've had a 2-point lead in the game.
Coach Delpech.
So we hear the French national anthem.
Canada connecting, sending through the positive energy for this next important point, which might or might not be a breaking moment in this game. Daphne Bell. Now Huang has it. French zone has startled this Canadian team twice already. Let's see if they can do it again. Manzi not on the field for Team Canada. They will rely on Huang and Bell in the handler space. It's a sick grab from Eklund on the near sideline. They're back in the middle. Not too much pressure from the team in blue. Canada forced to play small ball as the cup tightens up around the handlers. They're sticking with 3 around the disc. Squeezing it through rather than spreading the game.
Yeah, don't really know if I like the zone out of the French here. You've just got 2 breaks in a row with match defense. You've got the Canadians under massive pressure. And now you're just giving them a chance to get a bunch of passes together and maybe rebuild their confidence.
It's looking like both Bell sisters are on the pitch right now. That's Tessa Bell now with the disc. Goes to Wang. Now they find the open player. It's Eklund on the near sideline. Fumble on the disc. Did it hit the ground? Did it not? A foul will be accepted. Daphne Bell holds on. She's got an open player. And Lepezanek gets her Tom frame in the way. Did she get a hand on it? Did she not? Does it matter?
I just don't get why you throw to an area where she's there. You've worked it the whole way up. I know you feel like your handlers aren't maybe progressing it, but don't throw it to the best player on the other team. Don't give them a chance to be the one who gets a block.
I saw the look. The look was on. I think it was just a bit of an errant throw. And the French, it looks like they will do the same, just in the other direction. So Canada pick up immediately. They just need 1 throw into the end zone, and a foul call on the mark will be accepted. Yeah, I think the French getting a little too hungry and too nervous. Garon will tap the disc back into play. Still count 0. 1 more chance for the Canadians to reset. They do it on the second time of asking. Daphne Bell
Pick
with
call.
the second goal. Will not get to add a second goal to her name.
And now she does. Retracted pick call.
Will get the second goal to her name. They are making us work hard up here in the commentary booth, John. Team Canada closing up the gap by 1.
Yeah, we see here they've been so patient and they just throw it across, and it's just a nightmare when you're the receiver there and you know you're standing still and you've got a defender who's got a running jump on you, and maybe at junior levels they don't feel it as much, but sometimes you just know it's the other team's best player coming in. They've got the height advantage, they've got the run on me. All I can do is hope that they miss it. French give it straight back then, and they actually nearly get it back again, but there's a foul on a higher stall, and obviously you never promote giving a foul, but you can't give away a foul on a high stall. And maybe there would have been a score anyway, but you know, if the foul was done to prevent the score, then that's obviously a completely different story. It would be cause for another spirit timeout. But just can't give away fouls on a high stall when you've put so much pressure on, and then you just let them reset and then they score.
John, I'm hearing more of a coach in you right now than a father. I mean, they're still juniors, you know. It's been a long tournament. Cut them the slack a bit.
I know. Normally I would at the junior division, but when you look at how many years a lot of these players are playing, how many years their coaches have been here, we don't have to treat the juniors so juniorish anymore. They're all highly experienced players now, not beginners at this level. Like when I used to be coaching, half your team would be in their first year of playing.
Yeah, the level of ultimate that we've been witnessing all week is certainly nothing, or it can be easily compared to the senior division. Oh, and a catch under pressure. And an immediate response from Team Canada for the score. They break right back. What a puck from Manzi, and what a grab. And downfield cut from Boudan Tran. Canada with an incredibly quick response to tie us at 7. We're staying in the first half, and we're going to Galaxy Point, John.
Yeah, and again, exactly what this game deserves, I think. Again, I'm going to bring it back a little bit to the French option to use the zone. They're 7-5 up. They've got the Canadians with their backs against the wall. I don't know who calls the timeout, but I don't like the coming out with the zone there. You've given Canada a chance to build some confidence. They score the point, then they go back and get another break. And I think maybe if I'm the coaches there, I'm a little bit questioning myself after, was it the right option? The zone, they did it the first time they got one, but you see the Canadian energy here is loud now. And now it's the Canadian fans here. I think it was a bookends there. And the Canadian fans are the loud ones now. And I'd fancy their chances to get this. We're in a stadium, there's almost no wind, but sometimes you're just looking at a field and you feel like there's a slightly easier end zone to score into. And for some reason, I feel like the Canadians are scoring into the slightly easier end zone in this point.
We see Larivière sort of walking off to the sideline, grabbing drinks. They will need to reset for this next point. La Seine. Another grab under pressure. Gibbon da Silva Rodriguez. Maya on the near sideline. He's got the up line. Maya to her sister. Le Pezanek gets free downfield. Has the continuation and into the end zone. Poach defender does not get there on time. And look at that celebration from Team France. Inès Lassen takes France into the second half, leading 8-7.
Yeah, Canadians, they're just kind of giving everything free on the open side in the up line, and I do think the Canadians are the faster team, so I'm surprised to see how easily the French were just beating them up line and open side there. I think a little bit of it was the French set up their stack a little bit more to the break side, which almost makes it even worse from a Canadian perspective, that you've got more space to make up, and you can even poach a little bit more, force the French to go to the break side, but they didn't. They just jammed it up the line, beat them open side on every one of those passes, and France take half here.
Shout out to La Seine's little sister who's watching at home. Surely proud of that big moment in this Women's World Junior Final. It's been a great bit of action between France and Canada. France with a couple of breaks, but Canada quick to respond. Will they keep it up in the second half? Or is there going to be one team dominating the second half? Stay tuned for more action.
Boston has its glory.
Jeff Babbitt with the size, the speed, the read.
Did he throw it the full 80 yards of the field?
You cannot kill this Minnesota team. Are you believing what you're seeing?
hands are on my head up here in the booth.
Was there any doubt? Was there any doubt? Holy smoke!
It's halftime in the women's final World Junior Ultimate Championship. It's the last day of games. The tournament is over for most, but the French and the Canadians still a big battle ahead of them to fight. We are at halftime. The fans are taking a break. And we have a Canadian interview coming up. Emma Seaborn, thanks for joining us on the mic.
Hi, how's it going?
It's going great up here in the commentary booth. We just have a couple of questions for you. What kind of preparation have you done for the final?
We did a bunch of scouting. It's great at the end of the week to be able to watch a bunch of games, but also we just working within ourselves and our own systems to know that like this game is about us playing excellent Frisbee. So we've just come in with what we already know and we're trying to play it as excellent as we can.
Yeah, and you mentioned there you've done a lot of scouting on the team. Has there been anything about the French team in this final that surprised you so far?
I think they've played some really great offense and some quick transition offense, which we were expecting. So nothing surprising, but we knew they were going to bring us a game, and so we're excited. We're on serve right now at half, and so this is the game we came to play.
Maybe last question, what are you looking to adjust for the second half?
We are just thinking about tightening up our buffers a little bit, making some pressure on them. We know that we have legs, we know we have depth on this team, so we want to be able to run all those legs in the second half.
Thank you so much for the interview. Best of luck for the rest of the game.
Thank you so much. Hi Fraser, hi Sloan.
A quick shout out at the end. We didn't even have to ask for it. Let's look at the game summary so far for the first half.
You can see both here, teams both up with 3 breaks. Holes just basically going on serve. 5 blocks, 11 turnovers. Obviously, when it's on serve, the turnovers should be about the same. But these teams have just been. There's the only difference basically between them coming into this game was that the French have scored, I think, 5 more goals all tournament. That's basically the only real difference between them. And you know, if it goes like this, you could expect universe point. Hopefully, we get it.
No surprises on the top performers part. Le Pezenek for the French. Not far away from Caron with 1 goal and 2 assists. On the Canadian sides, Menzi with 4 assists and Ingo Dewey with impressive 1 goal, 1 assist and 1 block to her name. And we've got Kelsey Rader for the French coaching staff. Thanks, Kelsey, for coming to the mic again.
Thank you.
Can you share with us what you did in preparation for this final?
We spent a lot of time studying the videos of their previous games. We studied their tactics, the way they place themselves, and I think we've done a good job with our analysis. We've disabled a lot of their standard plays.
Yeah, and obviously you'd have seen a lot of the Canadians playing this week. I was wondering, has there been anything you've been kind of keeping for this game, keeping for a final that maybe you think would have worked especially well against the Canadians?
Not in particular. We've had quite a lot of variety in our different plays. I think it's not so much an entirely different strategy as it is just little adjustments that have enabled us to adapt to the different teams.
And can you tell us what the difference is going to be in the second half?
I think we just need to maintain our intensity. It's the end of a long week. Everyone's a little tired. We just got 50 more minutes to play, and then we'll have our gold medal.
Thank you so much, Kelsey, for the interview. We're back to the action on the field. Eklund able to bring the disc down in the last third. Menzie wasting no time. We'll get ready for the reset. Good shutdown of the front of the stack. Long arm for Menzie. In the red zone now is Team Canada, but a red player on the ground. Menzie, I think, trips over, sorry, not Menzie. Breton trips over Le Pezenek, who will claim that she probably had her body in the way.
Parce que j'ai essayé de couper, puis après ça, toi, t'es venu. Genre, moi, j'avais la ligne. Mais en fait, je suis sur ta ligne pour pas que t'ailles là, justement. Ben, moi, j'ai essayé d'aller faire une je une faute, là. Genre, c'est moi qui avais la ligne en côté. Pour moi,
okay.
Là, je suis devant.
Can I clarify? You are calling the foul?
Yeah. And
okay.
me,
I understand. Okay, so you're calling the foul together. Would you like my perspective? From my perspective, you were stationary, and then you cut into her. So she occupied that space. It's up to you. Do you agree? If we can't agree on what happened, then we can just take it back.
But she has a disc anyways.
Yeah, I understand. So the still will not change.
Yeah,
Yep. So you're happy?
Yeah.
Would you like to keep the calls as the foul? Okay, that's fine. So it's going to still be 2 fouls. What is the stall count here? 2, 3. So you're going to say stalling 3. Okay. So you're happy where you are?
Yeah.
Just wait till I'm off.
A disagreement on the pitch causes a disagreement in the commentary booth as well. And a layout bid for the score for Canada. Number 21, Esselon, for the score. It was an interesting call, John.
Yeah,
you give your perspective there.
I think the observer on the far side, they probably
game
did
advisor,
give
John,
the
game advisor.
the game advisor on their side. I do think it looked like Le Pezenek kept pretty stationary, although it did look a bit like that left leg maybe moved a small, but I only glanced at it on the first replay. I thought the Canadian player had the run, and I'd be surprised if you would actually run into the player there because it looked like she was going to be free up line.
We'll have a replay of the goal. That was a great put by Menzie into the end zone. You can see her fake that backhand. Kind of moves her mark. And on the front end zone line, Esselon gets her body on the line for the score. Yeah, and just to add my perspective, I think Le Pezenek was as stationary as she could be as a defender there. So it didn't make a difference to the play. Canadians with a clean hold, and now coming out on defense. Horizontal setup from the French. Pezenek hanging out deep, making space for herself. To get that gainer, she winds up with a big backhand. It's floaty, it's hanging, it's in the end zone. They run it down. What a play for the French, making us in the commentary booth happy. We do appreciate a good deep shot. Maillat with the score.
Yeah, great, fantastic throw. Again, I don't know if it's just that we're so high up in this stadium here, but when that disc went up, I thought it was going to float and there was going to be 2 players under it, but in the end it just drops down and it just, defender's not able to catch up, and a perfect throw. And she's had a couple of these this week, and again, usually when she sends the deep shot, her player just runs down a pancake, and it's one of those things. I think you have to be a bit more aware of that as the Canadians, and maybe do a little bit better at stopping this. You have to realize this is maybe the connection I've seen maybe the most in terms of when Lepezinek shoots deep.
2 assists, 1 block in this game already, but also 3 turnovers, but that's long gone. That was the start of the game. But interesting to see her. She hangs out in the backfield. The players or the defenders might be thinking maybe she's taking a breather on this one, sort of just waiting maybe to get involved once the disc gets closer to the end zone. But no, she's really just making space for herself to come under. And, that puts up that ripper of a backhand just to threaten the Canadians with a deep option here and there to keep them on their toes. Canadians trailing by 1. Manzi with the stall count that's getting high, a violation as there is a pick downfield. Almost looks like they're signaling a stall count 0 through the inside channel. And Canada respond with a deep shot of their own. 2 players underneath it. It's a big muscle up and a miss. Red disc by both players. Poisson shoulder to shoulder with Mutter, who misses the last turn.
Great pressure by the defender there, and just draws in the smaller receiver. And sometimes when you're up against the taller defender, you think like you have to go up and make the play, but sometimes you just need to be a little bit smarter.
Poachy, zony look from the Canadians. Really trying to prevent the undercuts. That is some good D, forcing the French to go wide to La Rivière, deep in the French end zone. Unfazed, they wind up for another big shot. This time to an imaginary friend only. And go Dewey, goes to Manzi. She hits the ground to keep possession. Oh, what a way to fake that around throw. She's got the disc again. Goes around for a one-handed grab of Eklund. Esselon. Huang now resets to Manzi once more. There's 2 players with 1 defender in the end zone. Again, that poachy look from Team France. A scooper into the end zone. 2 players, 2 defenders get a hand on it. And it's gonna be called a foul by Esselon.
Yeah, hopefully I can see a replay of this one. I've no real idea what's going on here.
It's okay, can I clarify? Yes, yeah, it's fine.
I mean, it's going to be a turnover. She maybe just felt like with a little bit of a bump maybe afterwards, but defender gets there clearly first. And
Faut que tu frappes façon de parler. Et t'as pas le droit, t'as pas le droit. Je crois.
Et pour toi?
Hein?
Et pour toi?
What
happened for you?
Il y a la vidéo si tu veux. Ouais, on peut regarder. On peut.
Quickly, and both of you need to look together.
I mean, if they're going looking at a photo, it's not really going to help here, to be honest.
Yeah, single frames usually not being the best option here.
I guess it did, but I think the call had to have been the context. She obviously must have seen that the French player touched it first, so I guess maybe she just realized maybe that the call needed to go back or retracted.
So great resolution. France with a break chance on the far sideline. Lassin finds the hole in the Canadian defense. Foissier with the low shot. We're finally seeing some wider French roster now on the pitch. Players that have not had that many chances to make use of their time here at the Logroño Stadium. Quite patient so far is Foissier for Team France. The game is stopped on a pick. Wang signaling stall count 6. So the French looking to reset quickly. That was last second throw. And that break chance is gone. Manzi, every second disc denied by Team France. Lassin was just hanging around in the open lane, and Manzi with a little bit of deep space blindness. We can relate to that one too, don't we, John? Lefty high release into a defender. That one was a bit too floaty. Canada with one more chance to finish off this offensive point successfully, but too many execution errors right now for the team in red. Layout bid to keep possession for France. Approaching the last bit of the field. They find an open Bouvet, but it looks like the disc will go back on a pick. Boisson tries to get the reset, but that one is completely out of reach as the disc was going the opposite direction.
Yeah, I feel Canada getting really lucky in this point. They're throwing it away a lot and they're just getting beaten open side by the French too much, and it's only when the French just decide to throw break side they're turning over.
Not sure who this one is for. Was just about to say that Canada really need to take a breath here. They don't really need to make themselves so tired. And no surprise to see a timeout. And we maybe would have liked it from the Canadians instead of the French, but whatever works here.
Yeah, there's two ways to look at it there. There's one where it's never interrupt your enemy when they're making a mistake, and the Canadian offense didn't look like there was any chance they were going to score any time in this point. I think the French D-line might have just said, hey, let's just keep going if they're going to give us 5 or 6 more chances. But again, the point here, take a break, 2 points, 2 points up. If they can get this one is a huge swing, so I'm okay with this timeout. Normally I don't like end-point timeouts, but you can get a look at all the turnovers here, and this one you put up the goalpost and you say, hit the target.
Yeah, a lot of discs landing in the no man's land, or no women's to be exact. So a little cool off for the players.
Yeah, this is where the Canadian coaching staff especially needs to kind of get really earn their stripes. The French are, you have to be happier if you're the French right now. This is your D-line out there. You know, your D-line, if they were that good, they'd score every break, but your O-line turning over maybe 3-4 times in 1 point, it's not a good sign coming into the latter stages of this game.
Emma Seaborn was mentioning during the halftime interview that they're just focusing on their game. And that's exactly what they will have to do in the next point, because it has not been French pressure that's been causing the turnovers, but rather the lack of focus maybe.
Yeah, and just from the Canadian perspective here on defense, you really don't want to see Canada or the French just beating you open side a couple of times in a row here. First thing here is just stop whatever potential set play they have, and then just make sure that you're forcing them to actually go break side and not just open side.
Let's see what the French D-line offense has cooked up during the timeout. Foissier through the cup to Lassin. They've got the experience of La Rivière on their side. She's the only player that's been playing the majority of the points in this final already. Looks like they will try to eliminate her as much as possible, maybe pushing her away from the disc. High disc forces the French receiver to land out of bounds. Timeout not proving useful for the French. Canadians with an execution error straight off the turnover.
Yeah, and it never came back inbounds, and the offensive player, the only way they could have gained the yards there would be to jump from inbounds to out of bounds and touch it, but they get the bad side of both parts of that. They don't make the catch and they don't gain any yards either.
Uncharacteristic mistakes, might the Canadians fans say. And the French could respond with the same. Second break chance averted by red shirts. Ngo Dewey will try her luck. And the Canadians just visibly struggling. And a collision under the disc. It's looking like maybe a hit in the head there. Players immediately getting down on their knees.
Yeah, you can see here this one comes just peeling off. French player realizing that her player isn't a threat deep and comes back into the space, and big collision there. Hopefully they're okay. I do think that highlights a bit of what I would say is the slightly more aware French defense there. Like, you've got a player running deep with the disc near them. Sometimes you're just going to be worried that, oh, if my player goes deep, they're going to score. But French player realizing that this throw isn't coming, and maybe I have some help there and I can peel off. And I think that's been a bit of the difference in this game, is that the French defense, to counteract maybe the speed, they've come a bit more mentally prepared in terms of switches and poaches in this game, and I think the Canadians are struggling with that a little bit.
See that play one more time. Yeah, I think it was Esselon trying to make a play on the disc, and the French defender sort of put her body in the way. She's leaving the field on her own feet, be it with some support, so that's a good sign, surely.
No call. No
Should
call.
be a turnover, I imagine.
Okay.
Contact came after the drop.
Maya will take the field. And gets ready to pick up the disc for a third break chance after the timeout in this point for Team France. Bouvot to Maya, Maya to Foissier. Canadian defense trying to keep in between their players and the disc. Pays off one more time. I think they really need to get this point finished already, and we do. Ngo Dewey with a second goal in this women's final, finally picks up the slack, and Canada get it done after what has been a longer than a 2-minute point.
Yeah, so many blocks in that point there as well by both teams. I think it was Eklund, multiple blocks in that point. I think maybe 2 or 3, and I think that point itself was longer than what's left in the remainder of the game. That was a mammoth point, and from the French perspective, it's fantastic because that's the Canadian O-line out there. Probably most of their strongest players has just played an absolutely enormous point. They can't have too much energy left after that one. And if you're the French O-line here, you might just tell your team, just obviously we need to score and not get broken, but if you can score this point quickly, get off the field as quick as you can, get their O-line back out there, and just, you can see they're just gassed. The whole line is going to be looking like that because that was just such a difficult point. And you don't want to have to put your D-line back out there if you're the French either. But I'd rather be the tired team on defense than the tired team on offense coming towards the end of a game.
So even though this was an offensive hold for Canada, it could be quite an important piece of this game, as all of the French players that are set out to play maybe the rest of this game non-stop were resting during that, whereas for the Canadian side, they were forced to work really, really hard to make up for their mistakes. Crozat for the team in blue goes to Lepezanek. They immediately get off the line. Mayotte sisters providing the necessary handler movement to keep the disc moving. Now a little bit stuck on options is Mayotte numero uno, as numero dos together with Caron get to the ground in the end zone.
Yeah, lucky for the French there. That's maybe the one patch of grass in that end zone where neither French player could get to that disc.
See the disc land right in between their hands. So Canada, with all the players nowhere near the disc, except the one who's actually holding it.
Foul accepted. Stalling one. Foul.
Accepted foul on the mark. Will reset the stall count, giving the Canadians a chance to get closer to the disc, but it just doesn't want to stay with them right now. Lands on the ground. Second chance for a hold for the French. Crozat winds up. In front of the end zone is La Riviera, and she scores! Lucie Caron takes France 10-9 up.
Yeah, and again, for the French there, obviously delighted to score the O point. It didn't take that long, nowhere near as long as the last point. So the Canadian offensive line's going to be going out here a little bit tired. You see here just a drop in front of the end zone, maybe worried about a Callahan potentially. You see a huge grab here to save this disc. And they just pop it in, and this feels here like a massive point now for the French, or for the Canadians, coming into a heat break.
France-Canada, 10-9. Even though things are properly heating up in the women's final, it looks like the players will take no heat break. The temperature quite nice and cold today at the stadium, but also maybe in order to avoid any further delays on the finals due to the Spirit timeout earlier, the clock does not run during that. So Lepezanek starts us off with a defense and a short field to go for the French. The break chances have not been spare for the French in the past 7 minutes or so. But can they convert it this time? Maya. The short but speedy handler for the French finds the hole in the French defender wall. And what a quick break for France. Late in the game, they go up 11-9. 8 minutes on the clock left.
Yeah, the last couple of moments there couldn't have gone much worse for the Canadians. Your O-line is out there for a massive point. Then the French score a relatively quick one. Then you don't even get to have your heat break, so you got to get your O-line back out there even quicker again. You turn over, you get broken. This next point here feels massive for Canada.
We're going to have a look at some of the highlights of Gaëtan Lepezenec. She's been a massive force for the French team, playing almost every point, be it here in the final or in the semis. Just an all-over great round player. Surely one to look out for in the upcoming years. Fun fact about her, she broke a tooth at Euros last year when she got hit in the mouth by the disc. No serious injuries so far.
No doubt it was a block, though, not an attempt of a catch.
That's fair to say, probably. Hoo-ha, hoo-ha, coming from the French fans who are absolutely ecstatic after that last passage of play. Canadians a little quieter after finding themselves on offense unexpectedly in this second half. Ingo Dewey working with Manzi. On the far sideline is Tessa Bell. She puts up another errant throw. Ray with no chance to run that down.
Yeah, and just a couple of the last breaks, it's been just open side, open side, open side, up the line, up the line, up the line. French or the Canadians just need to do something better here than just getting beaten. They have to force the French to do something more than just throw basic passes.
Oh, what a grab from Crozat. Crozat gets the disc one more time. She just seems to be very, very open. We see some, and a foul call on that one. Yeah, you could see quite clearly that Dole tripped over the foot of her defender, Liu.
I think the defender's just going to feel hard done by her. Yes, it is a foul, but I think if she could have avoided fouling the French receiver, she was actually potentially going to get a hand to this one.
It's going to be a foul.
So you feel a bit for the defender there, definite foul.
Called resolution? Uncontested. Accepted. Foul. Accepted.
Like you said, John, yeah, that could have been a block probably for Canada, but the rules are clear, and so are the opinions of the players on the field. Maya, all by herself. Poisson returns the disc. They swing it across, and another pick call. Ingo Dewey will catch up with her player. Nice lefty put. And Lepezenec returns the disc once more. On stall count 0. The French reset the disc. And we'll now be looking to isolate Lepezanek, who's got double coverage, so somebody else must be free. Groza with a break for France. 12-9 currently the score in the women's final of the World Junior Ultimate Championship. France are trying to run away with this right now.
Yeah, another one there for the French, and 3-point lead. I believe it's the largest one we've had so far, and I think we're going to actually have the heat break now. So again, Canadian coach here has their work to do to get their team back into this. I do think there's a lot of adjustments they can make by just protecting these open sides a bit more. And
we'll have a look at the last point, and stay tuned if you want to see if France can continue their dominance from those last few points, or if Canada are ready for some resurrection.
The club season is upon us, and Ultiworld is bringing you all the action. Ultiworld is the best place for live video, news, highlights, and analysis of your favorite teams and players. Make sure to subscribe for our extensive live coverage of the USAU club season, including the thrilling club championships in San Diego in October, exclusively on Ultiworld.
Boston has its glory.
Jeff Babbitt with the size, the speed, the read.
Did he throw it the full 80 yards of the field?
You cannot kill this Minnesota team. Are you believing what you're seeing?
My hands are on my head up here in the booth.
Was there any doubt? Was there any doubt? Holy smoke!
Women's final at the WJUC featuring France. Here are they 2 years ago in Birmingham, UK, where they became the world champions, winning 15-10 over the United States. Can they do it again this year here in Logroño, Spain? You see that they have interrupted the US streak from 2018 and 2022. They're coming back on the field after a great passage of play, scoring 2 breaks in a row. They did so already in the first half, and they have been able to repeat that in the second half, taking the lead 12-9 over the slightly shaken Canadians. John, how do you feel about the Canadian performance in this last part of the game?
Well, I think I watched about 6 games last night, 3 Canadian, 3 French games. And I knew it was capable that either team could get a couple of points ahead, but everything about them suggested it could go right down to the wire. Like I said, both teams, every game I watched, they have about 10 mistakes where you're just thinking, you'd be almost a little frustrated if someone playing one year made those mistakes, and the Canadians have just made too many of them in this game.
Just a quick reminder as we watch the Canadian coach give some more advice before the next part. We are playing a 100-minute game as opposed to the 80 minutes that we've had all tournament. The point cap is at 15, but it doesn't look like we're gonna get there at all since the time has just gone. Lepezanek puts up a pull that lands out of bounds, and whichever way this point finishes, we'll be adding 1 to the top score.
Yeah, and the Canadians, if it was the other way around, I might have a bit more belief in the French to come back, as they've had a couple of games like that, but the Canadians haven't really come back in any big games this tournament so far.
Ingo Dewey with this big backhand, and that's going to be a very, very painful mistake for the Canadians. It even looks like Eklund tried to go hard on that layout, and she's going to take a sub, which is of course again going to disrupt whatever they were discussing before the start of the game. A little bit more, a little too much energy, a little too much spin maybe even on that throw.
Yeah, and I think in this game, the deep game, I was expecting a bit more from the Canadians. Last year, but the European Championships, I remember essentially staying on, quoting on the stream that the French had no deep game defense. I don't know if they listened to me, because it doesn't seem that the Canadians are shooting deep that much in this game.
Maya. She has never missed a chance to be on the podium on any international events that she took part in. It's not gonna be a different story for her here in Logroño. Break chance for France. Le Pezenek to Maya. Canadians going all in. And it's been a game of picks in the last 2 points. Oh, now Le Pezenek hitting Harvey on the mark on accident. Probably doesn't help the overall Canadian mood now on the field, let alone the fans in the stands.
The one positive is it's a touch of a disc, which they've been struggling a small bit with on defense at times, but let's see if she can get one here on the force now when it really matters.
They're fine, they're fine.
Le Pezenek to Poisson. Maya. Waves away Kosa. Kosa looks for the reset through the break side. Le Pezenek runs it down. Good pressure from the Canadians, but will it be enough to force a turnover? Ella Maya. Losing yards, or rather meters, is France. Le Pezenek, catch under pressure. Boudin Tran has been doing a tremendous job on her there. French spiraling around the disc. The fatigue on the downfield cutters may be settling in, or just waiting for the right continuation. The timing not quite there. But the possession is all that counts now. Gibbon de Silva Rodriguez. Continues for the swing. Very, very static from the French, but all they really need is a couple of well-timed cuts. Now that's a lovely put for Maya. She's got the continuation in the end zone, but they choose to stay patient. Le Pezenek. Can they hold their nerve? Inside shot! Turfed.
Yeah, I think we've found maybe the only flaw in our game so far. I think sometimes when you're catching the disc so wide open and you can hook it, you don't always get as many opportunities to throw breaks there, and a rare mistake by her. I know she's had a couple of turns in this game, but that may be the only one that she might want back.
Canada staying alive, but Manzi's just not having her moment in the second half. Lepezanek finds the open player. France break to go up. 13-9 in the women's final. Was that the nail in the coffin of the Canadians, John?
I feel very much like it is. I just haven't seen anything from the Canadians late in this game that suggests that they're just going to go on a run. It's a couple of breaks in a row, I think, and just, you know, sometimes you get to these stages and just these things, it's just fingertips on so many catches. And while the gap between these two teams in this game has maybe been a little bit bigger, I think those last two turnovers the Canadians have had, that's how close these teams really are. And today the French have just shown up, and they've really done a great job at neutralizing all the advantages that I actually thought maybe the Canadians had coming into this game. I knew it was close, but
maybe now is the time to maybe share Eva Menzies' message. She said to us, it's been amazing to think that after only 3 training camps together, we already feel like a family. Representing my country is an incredible opportunity, and I get to do it alongside amazing teammates and coaches who support us every step of the way. She wants to thank everyone, and let's hope they can have a massive comeback here to make this a spectator-friendly game. It's game 2, 14 here at the Las Gaunas Stadium, Logroño, Spain. Game point on their hands. France put up the pole. Manzi to Huang. Through Moffat in the middle. Match D from France. And a wide opening. Reset through Bell, and that's a score for Canada. Manzi finally coming out of the bad spell of the last 2 points. Canadian fans trying to hype up their compatriots. But still a long way to go. Game to 14. Several game points will still need to be averted.
yeah, the Canadians here giving themselves a chance to go on a run. The French have done it. The Canadians now just need to reply. In most other situations or games, I would say, you know, there's probably not much chance here, but just on this division as a whole this week, there's been so many surprises and shocks. You'd hope we could maybe get closer to universe point here. Again, it does seem unlikely. I did think the French were the ones who seemed to be finishing games stronger, and their O-line hasn't been out there for a while. However, they've been doing so much crossing players over that I don't really think you would say they actually really have an O and a D-line as much in this game. They're going to have a couple of players out there who were probably on the last point even, and it's such a tall ask for the Canadians to get 4 breaks in a row. But all you can do is say, look, most of us will never be in this situation again. Let's just give it our all right now, starting with this point.
The defending world junior champions in the women's division, France, are looking to close for gold here. Lepezanek on the far sideline. And a turnover on an errant throw to La Rivière. Manzi with Moffat. Daphne Bell to Wang. Good coverage on Manzi. Someone else will be available for Canada. I think Manzi suggesting there was a call somewhere downfield, but no one seems to know what it is, so the disc will just get back. No, it will not. It will get tapped back in by the defender, Moffat. Finds Bell on the far sideline. Who's looking for the reset immediately. French defense in between the two players. A bit of a miscommunication. Manzi thinks about a call, nothing there. Lepezanek to Mayat. Mayat fouled on the catch. 2 turnovers in this point so far. France trying to take the game. Le Pézenek. Backward to Mayotte. Le Béatra. Lots of pressure. Front of the stack is La Rivière. Le Pézenek's got it again. She's gonna shoot in the end zone. La Rivière's underneath it. Can she run it out? Yes, she can! The French do it again. They are World Junior Champions. Women's division now has their gold medalists. Hugs, tears. This moment of victory is going to be engraved in the hearts of the French fans and this young French team forever. What a moment in the career of these elite youth athletes. French stands on their toes, jumping, screaming, chanting, celebrating. Love and joy all around. It's been a long week. It's been long games. And what a huge moment for French Ultimate. Heartbreak for the Canadians. They've been doing so well throughout this tournament. Look at that visionary leading pass. If you've spent the last 2 games playing with the same players on the line, you just know exactly where you expect them.
Yeah, congratulations to the French there, commiserations to the Canadians. I feel the gap in the scoreline at the end of the final doesn't do justice to how good this division has been. This has been, in my opinion, the best division at juniors. Canadians, French, both had a loss to get here, both faced some adversity. Both came into the game knowing they had a chance, but today the French just showed up better, and huge credit to their players and especially to their coaching staff. I just don't think the Canadians really got a chance to get going, and as the game went on, the French just seemed to adjust more and more and take advantage of what was given to them. And you see them here celebrating with the crowd.
Enjoy the sight of the new World Junior Champions in the women's division. Here the silver medalist. Still a grand achievement for a nation that routinely ends up in the medal positions. Let's look at the game summary. 14-10 the final score.
Yeah, and you can see here the difference in the game. 19 break opportunities for the French, 8 for the Canadians, and I don't think it matters too much how many breaks you convert. If you give the other team 19 chances, you're always going to have a difficult time getting it. See here, even the French got a couple more blocks, and just all in all, the French just showed up a bit better today, and perhaps having to grind a bit more with the top end of their squad paid off a bit better later in the game.
And here are the French World Junior Champions, Le Pézenek, with a translator.
Yeah.
Awesome. Ladies, how are you feeling? What are your thoughts right now?
Ok, comment tu te sens et c'est quoi genre tes pensées actuellement?
Bah, je suis trop contente parce que bah, on est venu pour chercher cette victoire. C'est sûr qu'en étant championne du monde il y a 2 ans, les autres équipes elles avaient peur de nous. Donc à chaque fois, on a fait des matchs vachement serrés et on est super contents. C'est vrai que je me rends pas trop compte pour le moment, mais c'est dingue.
Okay, she's very happy. We went here for the victory and we were super happy to have won it. We knew that because of our title 2 years ago it was difficult and other teams would be like really eager to take us down, but we're super proud of us to have kept this title and won this final.
Was there a moment in the game where you felt like not so sure.
Ok, est-ce qu'il y a eu un moment dans le jeu où genre on s'est senti un peu en doute, où genre on était en mode putain peut-être on va pas...
Non, je pense qu'on n'a pas douté, comme la demi-finale, à aucun moment, même si je sais plus si elle mène ou pas, mais on est vraiment focus sur notre jeu et pour aller chercher jusqu'au bout.
Okay, so like the semi, we were focused on our play from beginning to end, and we have a very strong cohesion, and that helps us to stay together until the end.
What are you gonna do next? What are you looking most forward to after this tournament?
Ok, c'est quoi ce qu'on va faire après? Genre, c'est quoi le truc vers quoi tu regardes et genre ce que tu as envie de faire après là?
Déjà fêter la victoire.
Celebrate the victory first.
Et après, il y a d'autres projets qui vont venir, mais je pense que pour l'instant, je suis pas focus là-dessus. C'est vraiment célébrer la victoire avec l'équipe.
Ok, maybe other plans in the future, but now we're just like enjoying the moment and celebrating the victory.
Thank you, ladies, and thank you, Zoe, for the translation.
You're welcome.
Thank you.
Thank you. Goodbye.
So that was some first words of joy from the French defending champions. The women's division final is over. You can have a look at some highlights from the game. It's been a wonderful, wonderful game to watch and a pleasure to co-commentate with my partner John Doherty, myself, Rachel Doshnerova on the mic. There's more finals coming your way. Stay tuned for mixed and open France-Canada final score 14-10.